Mr. Daniel Robbins is the Vice President of Information Security for State Bank and Trust. He's responsible for the planning, coordination, and implementation of cybersecurity measures and monitoring employer behavioral risks. He also focuses on information security through systems management, vendor management, data conversions, and technology migration. He has over 39 years of banking experience at the operational and executive level, specializing on effective electronic data management in serving internal and external clients. He's a contributor to the financial industry publications in the United States and has been a keynote speaker at many conferences for information security and operational risk. Daniel has also served as a recognized industry professional on the Past President's Commission on Bank Fraud and Security and has testified as an expert witness before the U.S. Congressional Committees on Cyber Crime. Please join me in welcoming Daniel.
Good morning, Dr. Rod. Thank you very much. I'm so pleased to be here this morning. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone. And I just want to give a big shout out to everyone who's online and would like to say good morning to my daughter Grace, my son Eric. Your dad loves you. And so just today is the day. If you can't say it today, when can you say it? So we've had some very, very interesting things to take home with us today. Dr. Kregler, a lot of what you have opened up with, I'm going to also start to fill in a few more gaps. And a lot of the information we talk about as far as the communication, I want to start to share with you also. So as we start to take a look at a few things, let's see if we can move forward. First thing I want to ask about, have you ever been hacked? Is there any shame in that game? If you're going to deny it, then we need to talk. Because in truth, my other computer is your computer. Do you believe it? Or are you going to deny it? Because if you're going to deny it, there's facts and there's myths. So I'm going to ask, is this a fact or is this a myth? It's 1995. Was malware alive in 1995? Is that a fact or a myth? What? Fact is correct. Information Week had it on their cover magazine that said it was at a crisis level in 1995. Fact or myth that malware in 2017 is going fileless? Fact or myth? How is that? Resident memory. You know what? Malware can hide on the disk, but it cannot hide in memory, right? My other computer is your computer. Fileless malware can be in memory and then will reboot. Fact or myth? 60% of us in this room have put together an alternate account that no one else knows about, whether it's email, Twitter, online presence. I see some people smiling back here. Okay. Did you know this is Tell All Tuesday? 60%. Fact or myth? You think it's higher? What number? I'll see your 75 and I'll go to 80. They say it's 60, but how many email addresses do you have? Will you say? What? Okay, got it. Got it. You know anybody that has over 30 email addresses? Yeah. Okay, moving on. Take a look up here, folks. Take a look. How many of these in this Wordle do you recognize? And the first thing I want to do, I always like to do, is to know who are my Android users. Lift them up, show it proud. Okay? All right, the pundits say that 100% of you have malware. Up here, where's Android? Anybody see it? Okay, how about iPhone? Where are my iPhone users? Okay, how many of you believe that Apple's got it all solved? You got the latest release, right? Do they have it solved yet? No? Oh, you've just disclosed your trust level. You've just let the Android folks know the game. All right, so one of the things that I'm extremely proud of, being a resident here of Macon for the past 21 years now, is knowledge at work here at Middle Georgia State University. I don't want you to read the top text, but I want you to follow this bottom text with me, because knowledge at work engages students to think what? What was it that Dr. Krager said? To think critically. And what? Creatively. I am really going to challenge you to that end, because if you are going to be stagnant, and let me ask you this, what industry do I represent? Banking. Okay, in banking. Since 19 and whatever, 01, let's take it, we balance to the penny. We take that very serious. We don't joke around with that. You walk into our operations and you say, oh, you know, we don't balance. You know what? They'll pick you up and put you out the door. We take it very seriously to balance to the penny. If there is a penny missing, they find it. You can be assured of that. And they take it very seriously. The people that are responsible for that, they will not go home. They will not rest. And they have to think creatively. Where is that penny? And you're thinking, you know what? It's costing you tens of thousands of dollars to find that penny. Yes, but if you don't find the penny, where's the trust? Where's the integrity? Because, tell me quickly, Android users, get your phone ready. Tell me what 17% of $1 billion is, quickly. iPhone users, beat them to the task. Siri, what is 17% of 1 billion?
The answer is 170 million.
Are you ready for that level of mistake? If you accept thinking critically and creatively is not important, then you're ready to accept a $170 million mistake. You get it? Does that make sense? Does that resonate with you? Because if it doesn't, I got to pull you in a little bit further, because you've got a learning environment. A learning environment and deepening learning. When we talk about deepening learning, what does that mean to you? When we talk about deepening that learning, when you first step into an internship, you know, when we look at, and Dr. Craig asked, do you hire interns? Well, when you speak to someone from an intern standpoint, the first thing you know is there is a desire. There has to be a provable desire. And the first thing we're going to do is, hey, let's check out and see what their LinkedIn looks like, right? If you don't have a good LinkedIn profile, are you serious? Are you serious? Who's got a LinkedIn profile? How good is it? When's the last time you updated it? Say what?
2 days ago.
All right. Star for the day, buddy. 2 days ago. Do you get what I'm talking about? Because if you're deepening your learning and you're freshening your information online, I think you're intensifying your educational impact. Does that make sense to you? That's why this resonates with me. And you have the benefit of this. You have the benefit of this. I have stayed on this paragraph more in preparing for this time with you because of how powerful this is. Because the high impact practices of critical thinking, we had it. We were there. You were talking about this, and I said, you know what? That's my #1 bullet on this. Critical thinking. Take this away. What do you have? Failure. If you cannot think critically in a cybersecurity environment, you will not succeed. If you cannot think creatively, the gentleman said, fileless resides in memory. How many of you knew that? Who made that one up? That it resides in memory. Because guess what? They're creatively trying to be in front of you. Deepening learning, engaging experience, and then critical reflection. You know, that's more of lessons learned. Anybody ever heard that? In incident response, a critical component is critical reflection or lessons learned. If you do not do that and learn from what you have done, then how do you know that what you've done is right? That what you've done is good? I heard both these gentlemen speaking prior, and I'm thinking, what they're doing is they're telling you lessons learned, right? Was that not correct? So you have that opportunity. So fundamental abilities, look at it. You have to have this. You absolutely have to have this. But here is the essential ability. What's a good definition of essential? Required. What's another good definition? Mandatory. Relevant. I like that. Necessary. So I would like to introduce to you a very dear friend of mine. In November of 2015, I had the privilege of going to St. Petersburg, Russia. And the purpose was teaching English. And so Mr. Artur Sorokin is here with us today from University of St. Petersburg. And we talk about the meaning of these words. He is here in the United States furthering his career goals. He is an expert in graphic design, coding, but we speak of, do you know these words? What is the meaning of this? And so when I would say, Artur, do you know essential? He will define that. He will say, here's what that means. And so that is a good exercise, because when I say to you, invest in accurate knowledge, what does that mean to you when it says invest? I think that we heard Dr. Krager say that what you do with your education, what you're doing with that knowledge is the investment. And I want to have that resonate with you even further, because I'm here to tell you that in those years of experience that I have, it's true. It happens year after year, month after month, day after day, and guess what? Hour after hour. We have a saying at our bank: we do not rest on our laurels. Does that make sense? So I ask the question, why are you here today? I'll ask the question, why am I here today other than the gracious invitation? My boss told me why I was here today. He said, you really hate to lose. You really hate to lose. What does that have to do with investing in accurate knowledge or protecting your valuable time? Well, if I hate to lose, I will not, on my watch, allow a cyber criminal to pick off one of my employees. I hate to lose. And so I'm going to share every bit of that knowledge, whether in mentorship or in internship or in any type of situation. Because guess what? I want to win. I hate to lose. I do not want someone clicking on a link in an email from Chile and then all of a sudden ransomware starts loading. Do you get it? Got it? That's why I'm here, because I hate to lose. Now, do you think that drives me every day to get up in the morning? To be part of a protection team? So the first thing up is I have to protect my valuable time. And when you learn that when in the workforce, you have to protect your valuable time. When you learn that discipline, you have something of value. When you learn the skill of saying no, that's a good thing. Because when you get to a certain level, don't you get calls from the vendors? Don't you get calls from people trying to sell you things? And oh, they want to tell you it's the greatest thing in the world. And I've got an example of that for you. But if you don't start to protect your time, you will not be of value to protecting your team, your company. And so save company resources. Be sure that what you are doing is saving company resources. I didn't use the word protecting. I used the word saving company resources. What do I mean by that? Saving company resources. Saving means don't waste. Don't waste time. Don't waste energy. Don't waste people. Be efficient. And then, of course, and my college student kids who have now graduated and they're in their vocations, they would always tell me of their course loads. And I know your course loads, and I identify with how hard you work. And I respect you for that. I don't take that for granted. You stay up late. You have many papers to do. You have a lot that you're responsible for. And I congratulate you on that, and I respect you for that. But if you can avoid obvious awkwardness, that's a good thing. To be in meetings and somebody start to say something and you go, oh no, man, don't go there. You feel so bad for them, and then the looks start around the table, and it's like all of a sudden, you have no idea how tough it can be on people. And I've even seen folks that just said, I can't do this anymore. And it's self-inflicted. Don't go there. Be sure you know what you know. I think there's a wise proverb somewhere that says, keep your mouth shut and appear to be wise rather than open your mouth and remove all doubt of being a fool. Okay? That's strong. I'm telling you, in knowledge management, invest in accurate knowledge. Now, this needs to resonate with you every day. The moment, any Star Trek fans? Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right, Doc Sinclair, my friend. The processing of credible information on which you can, what's this next word? Stake your reputation, your character, your conduct, and your cybersecurity career. How does that all go together? You take out one of those and try to be successful. Explain to me, if you will, which one of those you can take off this screen and be successful. And you know what? Anybody ever skateboarded down a hill? Yeah, okay, hey, we got him, man, he's back there. Yeah, he's okay. When you first get started, a little tough, isn't it? But then when you gain some speed, some momentum, it gets a lot easier, isn't it? And all of a sudden, that feeling hits you of, wow, this is really cool, man. And you got the speed and you're going till you hit that first bump and you get launched 10 feet in the air. Okay, you got it. You know what I'm talking about. Same thing here. As you gain that momentum, don't think of these things as difficult, as hard to do. Let's move on. Here is the thesis. The high impact practice for the return on investment on your academic education applied in your future career. Do you get it? What is a return on investment? You have an investment sitting in this room. You have an investment with the hours, 1, 2, 3 a.m. in the morning, getting the coursework done, working a job, doing it online. That is the ROI. You apply these principles, they will pay off. Gentlemen, ma'am, will these pay off? That is the voice of the experts, without reserve. So let me talk about, I had to make a decision. Do you want the good information or the bad first? So always leave them with the good information. So here it comes. Look at this. I don't know if you can see this, but it says cybercrime is projected to exceed $2 trillion by 2019. Really? Who said that? Who came up with that figure? Is that fact or a myth? What do you think? Fact or a myth? $2 trillion. That's a lot of cash. That means you and I, let's just open our wallet and give it to them, okay? Hey, man, here's my bank account, okay? $2 trillion. That says we do nothing, and they just go to the bank. That number, I shouldn't say makes me furious, but remember, I hate to lose. So that number just infuriates me. Today's malware has become so sophisticated that it can detect and outsmart advanced. Really? Is this not misinformation? What are they telling me? Hey, you've got the smartest system, but guess what? Malware is so sophisticated that it can detect and outsmart even the latest, greatest, right? And common malware evasion provides limited visibility, and you're vulnerable to attacks, right? But with increasing threats being posed daily, it's now necessary to go beyond. Really? It's like saying, you know what? Instead of walking, it's time to drive a car. That's simple enough. But what is this misinformation all about? I'm trying to teach you that when you are in this environment, This comes at you dozens of times a day. And you have to decide, am I going to invest my time, company resources, and go with this? So let's look at it. In this example, they clearly state the enemy. They tell you what your weakness is, but they tell you their advantage. So let's take a poll. Would you spend time with these folks based upon what they've told you? Who would spend time with them? Don't let the experts sway you. He's up here shaking his head. Don't let him sway you. How many of you would reach out and say, you know what? I've got to have your latest, greatest. Hey, remember, I'm in banking. We must. We're hyper-regulated. We have got to protect you. Would you do this? If I hadn't explained it to you and you looked at this and you went, wow, yeah, you know. But now that you know, can you, moving forward, look at this and say, I will not, without proper vetting, waste time? Because here's what I'm going to say. Don't constantly believe the pundits. Please do not. I will tell you, in having been down this path, that if you constantly believe the pundits, you will believe that because somebody could take over a Jeep at some DEF CON, that the financial system will crumble the following week. And that is rubbish. That is transference. That is irresponsible journalism. That is trying to sell sensationalism. They do not represent the facts. I look at transference as the biggest bane of our industry. Just because somebody has, is running Linux and can do a Metasploit, Mimikatz thing, and they can do this, does not mean that our infrastructure, our financial system is going to crumble. Do you get it? I don't care what they write in bankinfosecurity.com. They speculate. And speculation is your worst enemy. Focus on what's at the door. Focus on the emails, clicking the links. Focus on social engineering. Don't believe the pundits. Last August, I went to a conference and I was so convicted of this that I came back to my office and I literally swept my desk clean of the information that I had, because it's changed. Look for credible cybersecurity sources. Do your research. Know your subject and vet everything. Take nothing for granted. And categories of vital information, here is some good information. I want to look at trends. This is the good stuff. That's not verbose trying to sell me something. This gives me factual information that I can look up here, and I'm sorry the print is small, but with Crypto Shield come and gone, has that been a threat to me? How about this right here? The hacker groups, Axiom, Alibaba, the Cyber Caliphate. Have I seen those activities? The countries, US is still the most active. But right here with Silobreaker, I love this because there's two words up here. Two words in blue. What's the two words in blue? If I want to get there, all I have to do is click more information. I don't have to waste my time, because guess what? Do you think that second bullet item up there would be of interest to me? How about the fourth one? I'm going to dive into the second one with more information. But here it is, high level. I can look at this and click. So, last thing up in knowledge management is information sharing. But it's the big buzz right now is information sharing. That's so that I can tell you, I already told you about an email from Chile. That's information sharing. It's a resource, not an objective. Some people treat it as an objective. Do you know the difference? Do you know the difference? A resource is a map. It's not the end game that, oh, I've got 200 posts in information sharing. Well, good for you. I'm not impressed. I'm impressed if you've saved somebody with one post, because it's a potential early warning indicator. If I can mix my information sharing tenant with what I saw on maybe Silobreaker, do you think I'm reconciling my information? Does that make sense? That's the effective use. So, reduce the noise and handle it with care. Just because you saw it in information sharing doesn't mean it's going to bring down the grid. Always handle it with care. And never walk into a meeting, never, ever walk into a meeting with the president, executives, and say, oh, guess what I just read? Do you really want to trip them out over something that has absolutely no relevance to your organization? Maybe going on with a bank in the UK or something, but you tell them about it and then you've stirred them up. Handle with care. So in conclusion, invest. Establish your own library of resources, but make sure it's reliable and dispose of old or outdated information. You know what? March of 2016 to me is old. March of 2016 to me is old. If somebody sends me something, but be efficient and be effective. So, anybody snoozing? It's time to wake up, ask questions. We've only got a couple of minutes for questions. What questions may I answer for you? Yes, sir.
At the beginning of your session, you mentioned something about having a LinkedIn profile and having it well developed.
Yes, sir.
And I know in this smartphone age, I'm in the minority when I say I don't have one. How would you suggest keeping your social media as like the one that you'd want associated with your LinkedIn profile itself? How do you keep that stuff updated, up to date, when you don't have the means to do it on the go?
Well, as far as your decision not to have a LinkedIn profile, your decision. But as far as your Facebook, if I may speak to that, I will say what I hear of other employers, that they check Facebook. They look at that to see if you're legit. But if you don't have a LinkedIn profile that has at least bullets of your information, I would ask you to strongly reconsider that. And as Dr. Krager talked about with a mentor, discuss that with them to say, is that something that I could do? The university here provides lab. You can get online and at least provide some of that, because a recruiter, the first thing they do is, if you've got resume, they will hit your LinkedIn. And make it factual, make it legit. Fact checking in LinkedIn, fail. Sorry, moving on. Thank you, good question. Folks, I really do appreciate the opportunity. And if there's any questions afterwards, we'll be here. Thank you.